Hey, this is Derek D-Train He2. Tonight's episode is brought to you by
at Second String Leather Company. Vintage goalie gear is revived, repurposed, and restitched into one-of-a-kind, handcrafted leather goods. Each collection has been hand-selected and shares a unique journey from early morning practices to championship games. Each piece has a story to tell and memories to share. Timeless products, forged from full-grain, oil-tanned leather, paired with a unique blend of vintage gear.
Hi, this is Mike Schafer. I'm the head coach at Cornell University.
Second String
Go to
Leather
the Blue
Company.
Line Hockey Club podcast to hear the rest of this.
Built on the heritage
podcast.
of the game. Crafted
2, 1.
from the crease.
Hello, welcome back to the Blue Line Hockey Club, folks. We have another exciting episode tonight, 93 tonight for the Blue Liners. We have all the usual suspects sitting in the house tonight. We have our producer, Patrick Uncle Lardy Sullivan. What's up, Patrick?
Aloha.
And the local IT guy, our nerd, Robbie Pete Peters. What's up, Pete?
Hey, how you mom, man?
And all-around sports guru, Derek D-Train He2. What's up, D-Train?
What's up, Sweetos?
Your host of the Blue Line Hockey Club tonight, Mark the Doctor Morley.
Oh, doctor.
And very special guest with the Blue Liners tonight. We have head coach Mike Schafer from the Big Red in Cornell, 5-time ECAC Coach of the Year, 3-time Ivy League Coach of the Year, stellar career at Cornell, and it's a pleasure to have you on, Coach. How are you?
Appreciate it. I'm a little disappointed I don't have a handle.
Yeah, we should have got a handle for you.
Work on it.
next time.
I saw you used to rock the handlebars. That's good enough.
Well, Coach, obviously a disappointing end to the season this year. I don't even know how we can even approach this question, but I was a athlete at UMass Amherst, and I don't know what it would be like to lose my senior year and not being able to finish it out. So those guys on the team must have been, devastated. What's the NCAA going to do for the seniors? Are they going to come back as a red shirt? Are they losing the year?
I think they'll lose the year for sure. I mean, not the spring athletes. I think the winter athletes, pretty much everybody had gone through their season and done their regular season. There's even teams that had already been eliminated. Their seasons were over. So I just don't see that the NCAA. Sometimes they're not the most forward thinking. So I don't think that they're going to go out there and allow a bunch of athletes to come back just because they, unfortunately didn't get a chance to play, 2 more games or 6 more games. So, I think that those guys have seen the last of their opportunity to play collegiate hockey or basketball or wrestling or whatever it was that got taken away from them.
Coach, when the NCAA makes that announcement and, you have to, approach your team about this, like what's that feel in the locker room? I mean, what's their reaction? What's your reaction? How does that go?
Well, I think that it was weird. It was, obviously nothing that anybody's ever faced before, and just the initial thing, and it's different in today's society. I mean, these kids, they're getting information left and right on Twitter and text messages from other kids that, maybe, our guys were in school and they were getting to the rink and they had already, they're getting bits and pieces of it, and a lot of them are kind of didn't want to believe it, and we were told early in the morning that the ECAC was still going to go on, and then by the time the guys got there, we knew on the Wednesday that it was done, and so it was just once the Big Ten basketball dropped out, you knew that the money sport with basketball was over, and that was going to be it for all the winter sports, and so it was hard. I mean, it's you mentioned seniors. We didn't have a lot of them, thank goodness. I mean, we only had 3 guys that were seniors, and they just some of them are disbelief, some of them crying. A lot of guys, I said, are crying in the locker room because they committed and worked so hard to get to where they were to just, and they all these guys knew they for 3 years we've been knocking on the door to win an ECAC title in the tournament, and we've been in the NCAA 3 years in a row, and they knew that, in each one of those years they had their, they felt they could get to the Frozen Four, and they felt even better this year. So it's just those cumulative effects. It wasn't like we were just kind of on a run. It'd been their goal all year long to win a national championship, and and so it was tough. But as I said, it was like I talked to them about, it was like 9/11 when it first happened. 9/11, you just thought it was just a terrorist attack, and it was just going to make it kind of, you didn't know what to think. But by the time the second, and third, and fourth day rolled in, you realized the magnitude of it, and you kind of thought back and you couldn't believe you even reacted that way. And I think these guys have already experienced that. Within a week, just talking to 6 of them today for their player interviews. I mean, they understand the magnitude of what happened, and they're not not happy about it, but they totally understand.
Yeah, Mike, you guys were, favored to go to the Frozen Four and win the whole thing this year. When did you realize, you had a very special team? Was that, at the beginning of the season? I know you had 2 early losses, but, for 23, 2, and 4 this year is pretty special. Was it, that group of guys that on the ice one day you just said, we have something special here? I don't know when. I know by the end of the year that there was a special group. I think as a coach all year long, you're kind of waiting for the shoe to drop. And we had 8 freshmen in the lineup, so we played with a lot of young guys night in, night out, and I know that we got off to a really good start. And but I bet we've been there before, and then taking that 3 weeks off is always a tough time. I thought that we had something special when we played out in the Las Vegas tournament. We came out and we played really solid against Ohio State, against a team that we had seen on video, and we knew they were really good. And we played well against them. And the next night, we came back and tied Providence. So I knew that they could face adversity. And right there, I kind of knew we were good. And then when we got kind of woken up a little bit at Quinnipiac, where we got spanked, and the next night we came out and over the years, when a team like that gets a lot of shit, and from the coach, they can react in 2 different ways. They can kind of pull back a little bit and not play with confidence, but play hard. But they played hard. They played with confidence, and from there we went on and won 9 in a row. And I knew as they got over that hump, they were destined to kind of make a run at it. Nice.
Yeah, Coach. The last couple of years, the ECAC has really been able to break into the tournament and produce some great teams. And how is it recruiting against some of the top Hockey East teams, or some of the big teams that have huge facilities out in the Midwest? And just is it harder to recruit to bring people to Cornell? With no scholarships and stuff like that. How does that work for you guys?
Your kids have
we
too, so.
We don't really recruit against those guys. A lot of those programs you mentioned where they're in Hockey East, I mean, they're they made a distinct different decision that you look at them. A lot of them they're recruiting a lot of young guys. They've got a lot of guys committed. They get a lot of kids locally, and you look at some programs in the East. They've got they graduate 4 guys next year, and they got 10 guys coming in, and we've gone away from that. It's honestly we've kind of gone back to old school. We've gone back to I think just getting back into the areas that trusting alumni, trusting coaches, trusting the areas that we recruit, which is Ontario and Western Canada, and then mixing in different areas, the prep schools, the USHL, and we've gone old school in the sense of just waiting for kids to develop, which can be nerve-wracking.
But a lot of the kids we've gotten, over the years are kids that we've actually, with our own eyes, have seen them play well and not try to project. And our assistant coaches have done a great job. Ben Sire and Sean Flanagan of going up. Yeah, the St. Lawrence boy up there. They've done a good job of, as I said, not trying to project and look at potential. And so it's gone old school in the sense of, getting kids when they're older, kids that got the chip on their shoulder, maybe been overlooked by some other programs. And we've done that for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's paid off with huge dividends for us.
Yeah, Coach. Listen, so all of us, we're Canton, New York natives, grew up watching St. Lawrence hockey. And one thing I always noticed when Cornell came into town, you guys looked like a big bunch of like corn-fed, like farm boys when you came in here. Like, St. Lawrence was like always smaller guys. You guys rolled into town with these big, massive defensemen. Is that kind of a style of player you look for when you're recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, Joe wanted all these little fast guys. We had to make sure they couldn't get by us. So, I talk. I mean, the game has changed, and back in 2000, you're right. We were huge, and the game was called differently. The way the guys and the way we played back then. I think of guys on our team and Greg Hornby and Doug Murray and Shane Hines, and you go down the list of guys that are, I talked to our guys. Our guys, we're one of the biggest teams in the country right now, and I said, we're small compared to what we used to have, and we averaged. We went to the Frozen Four. We had 14 guys in the lineup that were over 210, on our team, and they were just huge. But this team is I think our defensemen average around 6'3", 6'4" right now, but they're fast and they're lean, and we play a different style than we used to. And so, I mean, if they're, all things are equal, I want the guy that's the bigger guy. I mean, without question. They're just longer, lankier. They don't get hurt as much. And, it's just, I said, it's just the length of our defensemen right now. They're freshmen. They're tough to play against when guys are 6'4" and they can skate, and really skate, it makes things really difficult. And so, yeah, I mean, I love bigger guys, but some of my best captains have all been under 5'8" and under. So we take a mixture. Cam Donaldson's a 5'7" kid for us on our team this year from Carolina. We got another kid, Jack O'Leary, coming in next year. He's 5'6". I mean, it's not just about size. We talk about spirit and hockey sense and speed, and so they got to have those kind of attributes for us. But personally, I love guys that are big.
Coach, I'm curious. You said the game has changed and things like that. But where are the hotbeds that your recruiters like Sean? Where are they pulling these kids from?
Well, I mean, Sean and Ben work extremely hard. I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, they're at all the provinces. They're at all the prep school tournaments. They're all through across the North American League and USHL. I mean, we cast a big net, and and I get back to it. It's excuse me, it's their work ethic that makes it happen, and they stay on top of things. So we go everywhere, and we're looking. I said, recruiting in Ivy League is a little bit different. I mean, I was at Western Michigan, and you go in and everybody's on the table when you watch two teams play. You go in the Ivy Leagues, sometimes at the USHL game, there's maybe one kid on the ice that you're watching, and so it can be a little bit easier and it can be a little bit harder, but everybody has their advantages. So yeah, we're everywhere. A lot of the business is run by agents now, and so you're always talking to those guys about who's available and who fits our mode and mold as a team, and so I mean it's about contacts, and the longer you're in the business, the more contacts you have, and the more trustworthy you are, the more contacts you have. And I think that Sean and Ben are, I think, two of the most respected guys on the road right now, and they do a great job.
Yeah, sure. Gotta love that good old boy network. Hey, Coach, I got a question for you. Just the changing of the game, is we just talked about, and the faster players and stuff like that, and the clutch grabbing, moving away from the game. How has your coaching style had to change from when you first started in Cornell until today, as far as, you know, how you coach these players? Everything's kind of changed as how they can play the game. So you must have to, you know, change your ways of how you coach them.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed. I mean, there's probably like 3 segments. My first year when I took a 95, we were the most penalized team in the ECAC, because I just wanted our guys to flat out be reckless in their compete. And, you know, and so when I first came back in there was, you know, we had a saying that there were certain penalties that we would kill off, but there were certain penalties that we would never, you would be sitting the bench for. And, you know, we took a lot of those penalties that we'd kill off. And, so we just kind of established our compete level. So we were a big physical team that did grab you a lot and slow you down. And then, you know, when clutching grabbing was in vogue, I mean, we played against, I was in the league against Lake State, man. You couldn't move without someone having a stick in your ribs, you know, or being above you. And it made things really difficult to play against those guys. And so when I first came back, I was like, I mean, there's a team that could win a national championship. And we did. We you know, if we could have our big guys could get their hands on you, they were going to hold you up and they were going to pin you in the corners and you know, do that. And then I don't know, as a league and NHL and everything progressed, even about 6 years ago, we just decided of a style that we had to play if we were going to win a national championship, and we had to get away from. We wanted to be the least penalized team in the league every year, is one of our goals. And people still have that image of us being a big, strong, mucking team. But if you really watch our games, you know, our sticks are down. You know, we don't take unnecessary slashing penalties, hooking penalties, and we still take them, but we're still one of the most least penalized team in our league. And so that's aided us to play, as I said, just a faster game, less physical, but definitely a faster game.
Yeah, Coach. Every time I hear about Cornell and your squad, it's all defense. You guys are so defensive oriented. Do you consider yourself like a defensive coach? And if so, why do you kind of hone in on that?
You know, I think if you guys had Sean or Ben Sire, I mean, they came in probably thinking the same thing, and then they realized how much time we talk about puck possession. You know, in our practices, you know, every freshman that comes in, we talk about, you know, there's going to come a point in time where you're going to play a team better than you, and if you can't take the puck away from or keep you're going to be in trouble. And so you have to be able to win games on your defensive side of it, because not all games are going to be where you're going to score that night. And so you better be able to win by keeping the puck out of your net. And that's one thing that each night that you can be consistent at. Offensively, it can go in ebb and flows as far as confidence. But defense can be consistent, and everybody can play it. And we recruit that way, where we want guys that want to play it, and not want to play it, but they know that they have to play that game. So am I a defensive coach by nature? If you watched our team play this year, you'd probably look at it and go, what are they doing with slashing their defensemen down through the net? And, they're all over the place in the offensive zone. I think that's a kind of a misconception, but I do believe that we're really solid fundamentally, defensively all over the ice, but it's not just who we are.
Sure. I'm curious, what for today's game, what would you say, then your style is, as far as coaching and practicing? I did see that you like to keep your practices simple, so that, nothing is too complex. what is that? The team philosophy, or for today's game. What is your philosophy for today's game?
Yeah, ours is all about I would say puck possession, and we don't want to give you the puck, and we don't want to force it blind and throw it away, and we don't want to dump it. We will, but we don't want to.
Right.
So our philosophy is just teaching our guys to they have to make their own reads on the ice and make the proper reads. And our practices are difficult. I mean, they're you talk to our players today. I always ask our freshmen, what was your first impression? And the freshmen were like, they're all told that the practices and workouts are going to be the hardest you've ever had, but they'll be fun. But that makes it who we are. And so I guess, in the freshman's mind, that's we practice hard, we work hard, and but our philosophy is that we like to keep the puck. We don't and don't like to throw it away. And that's where our first defensive staple comes from, is that we're not careless with it. And so it's practices. I guess the drills are simple because I'm not a coach that really believes in like running like flow drills that go up, down, and practice a 2-on-1 to a 3-on-2 to a 3-on-3 to a 5-on-5. It's not the game. I like practicing, the fundamentals of it, and I let our guys get after it and compete. And so it's relatively simple.
It's working.
It's working.
Yeah.
It's working.
To speak on that a little bit, this year and in general with Cornell, I know you were, I think 11-0 at home with 2 ties. We're from Canton with Appleton Arena. What's it like having that home barn, that home ice advantage down in Cornell? I mean, I know it's a smaller barn. The fans are pretty loud in there. How is that home ice advantage for you guys in Cornell?
Well, it's good, but it's also pressure. I mean, you talk to, again, having 2 guys in the league, Ben with Quinnipiac and Sean with St. Lawrence. I mean, they tell you firsthand that, and we try to tell our players that, we're going to get everybody's best in our rink because it's a great place to play, and guys come in and they're going to be ready to play and get after it. And, so it carries with excitement, and it's fun, but it carries it also, I think, what it prepares us for the end of the year, in the sense that we're not going to get someone's cheesiest effort of the night, on a Friday in our rink. I mean, kids are going to come in, and some kids are going to look forward to be the biggest game of the year, and some kids are going to be terrified because of the crowd. And you're going to get you're going to get guys' efforts throughout the course of the game, and so it just makes you better as a team. But I think that Brent will get that going. I mean, Casey, who played for me here and worked for me, and he's got things going at Clarkson, and it just takes a matter of time. And Brent, he'll do the same thing at it'll take some time, but Brent's cut from the same cloth as Casey and myself, and he'll get things going in the right direction. It's going to take him some time, but he'll have that same kind of home ice advantage up in Canton at Appleton in a short period of time.
So, Coach, before we let you go, we'd be remiss if we didn't have you speak a little bit about Flanny, man. How's Flanny doing down there? What do you like about him? And he's obviously we're all big fans of his. So, talk a little about him and what he's brought to the program.
Well, Flanny is a pretty serious guy, right? You guys know Flanny. He's pretty zoned in on what he does, and takes a great deal of pride in it. So, with regards to getting a hold of recruits, and he develops great development plans for our forwards. He works with those guys. I gave him even more responsibility this year with our power play, and he did a great job with those guys. And him and I worked together in that area with the power play, but he's in charge of it, and but he's just very detail oriented. He cares a lot, and he wants to win. He's very competitive, and so he carries all those great traits that you want in a coach. But he's fully committed, man. He'll pick up and he'll drive up to Toronto, see a game, and leave the game at 10 o'clock at night and get back at 2:30 and then be on the ice for an 8:30 development session with the guys. And he's just fully committed. He's all in. And I like those guys in our staff. I mean, you know, Sean's had to go the rough way, right? He's with Hobart and then a hockey ops, and you know, one of my guys right now played at Potsdam State. He's our hockey ops, and he went to Skidmore and coached some youth hockey, and he's got that same chip on his shoulder as a hockey ops guy, and so a lot of those coaches. Ben Sire was he coached played at Western Ontario, started a program at Quinnipiac, and had to fight his way for respect. And so it's a great staff. I mean, and Sean is a big part of it.
Yeah, great hockey family, and I think he's going to be a good coach for you guys as long as he's there. And the things that his uncle's done, and just his brother and the whole family's involved in hockey, and that's their life, and they got a lot of passion for it. So we're happy for Sean Flanagan being Canton guys, and we wish him the best of luck. But we really appreciate you coming on, Coach, and giving us your perspective. Shitty way to end the season, but great teams coming out of Cornell, and a lot of big things to come in 2021.
Appreciate it. Yeah, with 3 seniors, I think we'll be, hopefully we'll get right back at it. But I just can't believe you guys didn't have, at least Breaker on here with, Joe Marsh and a few of those guys, Danny Albert, and really get this thing going. I mean, we could all pick on Joe a little bit and see where it went.
Yeah. We'll make that happen sometime.
I would love that. I have more Joe Marsh stories that you guys have never heard.
We'll get you on again when in a couple of years, maybe 3 to 5 years, when you're coaching the NHL. We'll get you back on.
Well, if we can ever get Joe out of his cottage in Maine, we'll be all set.
We'll work on it. Joe's coming out. We'll work on it.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it, guys.
Have a good night.
Yeah, thanks for your time, man. Thank you.
All right. It's another great interview with Coach Mike Schafer from the Big Red in Cornell. Obviously, a terrible end to a season for those guys in Ithaca, having such a tremendous season, only 2 losses all year. Won every game at home, 2 ties, 11 and 2 ties at home. Just an amazing season, and I can't imagine what those kids are feeling. I mean, being a college athlete, that was everything in my life at that point. It was just all about my college sports. I didn't give a shit about going to class and all the other bullshit that came in college. It was sports, and my team was the number one thing that I focused on in my life at that time. And I can't imagine having that season cut short with a team that good. I mean, if you were the team that's, borderline, had a rough season but made the playoffs, yeah, okay, we might be able to stomach it. But, man, what a tough loss for these kids, man. And even for the coach, these guys put so much time and effort in what they do. I mean, it becomes their passion in life too. And then, to have a team like that not being able to finish the season out, it's just a shame.
If I was on that team, I'd be fucking pissed. I mean, and then you look at the NCAA, and like you said, they're gonna just lose their eligibility. I don't know. I think it's just, I can't even imagine being, like you say, at that high echelon. Like, you're gonna probably play for an NCAA championship, but even the guys, even the teams that, like you say, barely make the playoffs or whatever. I mean, regardless of the situation, it's absolutely awful. I mean, I can't. There's like a chunk of your life that just gets like stripped away from you, and you've poured your heart and soul to this. These programs it takes 4 and 5 years to get a program to the level of where Cornell was, right? And then NCAA comes in, some fucking virus comes out of China or wherever the hell it comes from, and it just strips everything away, and it's like it's awful. I can't even. I love to get his perspective on that, because I think that's just like a really big question I had in my mind. Like, what do these players think about this? I mean, I think it's kind of obvious they're pissed, upset, sad. I don't know. It's really a weird situation. These poor guys will never get it back, which is the worst for. Yeah.
I find myself in a weird situation where I'm going to defend the ECAC or NCAAs right now. what the fuck are they supposed to do, right? They didn't plan on this. It's not exactly, they're the ones that are making this decision to, cancel the rest of the season, but who wants to make that call?
Yeah. It's just
Yeah,
stuff,
tougher coach. Go ahead, Pat.
I don't know. I was just going to say, I wanted to ask him, but I didn't want to, talk about it too much because, I would be fucking pissed off if I was a coach. But, like, what did you do the night you found out? Like, did you just go pick up a case of beer at the 7-Eleven and just chug it? But, to have this small school like Cornell who cannot recruit players in the small, I call it small ECAC league, Clarkson was up there with them too. It only happens once in a while in college hockey that you see an ECAC team at the, national championship game, let alone the Frozen Four.
Chosen to win. They're the ones who wanted to win.
Yeah, and you could have seen two teams, Clarkson and Cornell, but Cornell was, they were gonna hang a banner in that arena this year. Pretty sure. I mean, it's tough to say, but
they still had to go and play. But
the odds were for them.
Yeah.
And like you said, Pat, for a coach, I mean, this is what they do. There's not very many opportunities they get to win these ECACs or win a Frozen Four or get to the Frozen Four. That's their career, right? And that's what they strive for every year. And they put tons of effort and passion into this. And, you guys know what it takes to coach a team and to recruit the team. And, the weight rooms at 6 a.m. and the off ice and, everything that goes into it. I mean, the games are one thing on the weekends, but, it's 40 hours a week for these kids every day or every week. And, for a coach not to get the opportunity, he only has so many opportunities to get there too. I know these kids lost their opportunity as seniors, but there's not that many coaches who made it to the Final Four. Yeah. I mean,
and what? The other thing I just wanted to bash on real quick is, if this was college football, the news would be unreal about it. Like, the college football season ended and
you're right.
We're hockey fans. We played hockey since we could walk. We're from the upstate Canadian border.
Hockey is our football. Hockey is our football.
And there's no talk about it at all. I've been watching ESPN every once in a while because there's nothing else on, but they don't even mention it, or they don't even play some old, Frozen Fours. They're playing, old NCAA basketball.
He said it. Mike said it. Look, money talks and bullshit walks. And as soon as basketball called it, every other sport down the line knew that was coming. So we're not the biggest money maker, but fuck, it still hurts.
It's got to hurt. I mean, he can't even imagine it.
I can't either. I can't think about us on such a smaller scale, like when we were playing for a high school hockey state championship. Imagine working the whole year. You busted your ass, you blood, sweat, and tears of the whole year to get there. You get 2, 3, 4 games away from it, and they just say, "Sorry, guys, it's over." I mean,
Derek,
I can't.
Derek, I heard you had a broken arm in the state championships. I mean,
yeah.
What did you persevere to go through to get to that? Right? I mean, that is.
Well, you did that, Rob. But yeah, I mean, it's.
What did he do? He hit you from behind, didn't he?
Hit me from behind.
Yeah, I hit him from behind. Yeah.
Took his power play spot and he got pissed. Hit me from behind. Anyways,
You won't fucking do that again, will you?
No. But no, on a very serious note, it's crazy, man. I feel so bad for these players. Yeah. Whatever sport it is, and the hockey gets the least amount of attention, like you're saying, Pat, which is absolute horseshit. But all these players have had a part of their friggin' soul ripped out of them. So I feel for it. I wish there could be something done to make them not lose that eligibility, but at the same time, if somebody's graduating, maybe they've got a job offer on the other end, they're not going to go play on the next level anywhere, so they have a job offer. So what do you do? So I don't know how you make that work, but maybe for players that want to come back, the NCAA should have offered that eligibility. I just don't know what the answer is. But
The problem is, and the only reason I am in any way defending ECACs, they're at 29 games. So, Coach Schafer again said that they basically played the season. So how do you say, okay, you played 30 games, you didn't get to finish it out and have a champion, but we're going to let everybody come back again? I mean, it's a fucking awful situation. I wouldn't want to be on either side of that.
Yeah.
no.
Then you get freshman people pissed off that their scholarship money is tied up, and then what do? It comes freshmen coming in, there's no money for them. But this all happens in 3 days, right? So I think the first thing that came out, I think he said it was on like a Monday, they were going to play with no fans, and everybody was like, what the fuck? No fans? This is bullshit, before the stuff got crazy. And then Wednesday, everything's canceled, so it went from the extreme no fans where everybody was like shocked by that, like who the hell wants to play in front of no fans, to, season's over. So, I mean, for 3 days for these kids, that went pretty quick from when they went to, possibly being able to play out their playoffs to, pack up your shit and go home and study online.
Yeah. And, just to touch on that, it kind of made it easier for the NHL teams to sign all their college recruits, right? A lot of seniors. We had Jeremy Swayman on the podcast. He signed with Boston. But, usually that doesn't happen, for another few weeks. So some NHL teams got to, figure out some things a little early this year. But
the one thing I would say is this. Look, Cornell basically gets to act like they are the national champions this year. By default, they're the number one. They're going to get to recruit as if they were going to go on and win, that title. They have a story to tell. They were sitting hard at number one. Everybody was favoring these guys, and they're fucking solid. I think it would be, even Vegas would be tough to say that, the odds are they're going to lose. They still have to go play that game. They still had to win it, but, it's going to favor them this year. People that are making decisions, do I want to go to Cornell? They're going to choose Cornell, right?
Yeah, I remember when I got recruited by Cornell, mainly for math and trigonometry. But
I thought it was your science, chemistry, but
no, I was into a double major, but math was the main thing. It was a great school. Did the tour, but to change the subject and get into NHL news. Before we do that, though, we got some pretty sick gear or wallets from Second String. What's
Second String Leather?
Yeah, let me go ahead and just plug them. I mean,
yeah, meow it, Rob.
Since we got Second String, since we got those wallets from Second String Leather, I haven't really been able to think of much, since then. I'm just really blown away. As an American, we don't really make much anymore. So to see something that I love in hockey, and then to see that we are making it here, those are two things that I care about quite a lot.
Second String Leather is, Tell them what it is, Rob. They take old pads.
Way better than my pillow.
Way better than my pillow, yeah. So we each got some leather wallets. They are hand stitched leather products.
Do it in the voice, Rob. Though, do it in that guy's voice.
At Second String Leather Company.
I can't get into the
Second String Leather.
That fucking voice is the shit.
But no, they take old goalie pads,
the products at the bottom,
goalie equipment, and rip it apart, restitch it, add a little
each collection has
lacquer on there, some shit, and You guys gotta check it out.
Shares.
All the
Shares.
keychains, belts,
From early morning
wallets,
practices
totes,
to
bags. Check them out.
championship
Second string leather. They're
Each
awesome.
piece
Awesome.
has a
Check out our
story to
YouTube
tell.
video. You'll see a nice commercial of that at the beginning of the show. You'll see how they make the products out of old hockey pads, and a great product.
Timeless
All right, boys, let's transition into a little bit of the NHL. There's a couple things going on. I did hear some rumors, obviously, the Tuukka Rask thing. I don't know if you guys saw that. That he kind of like just vaguely said that he possibly might not come back. Like, so the speculation is he's going to retire. And how many other guys are going to retire? Like, you know, a Joe Thornton or Chara, some of these guys, are they going to come back next year? So a lot of that speculation going on.
Just you know, as a Bruins fan, you know, when Tim Thomas won the Stanley Cup back in 2011-12 season, you know, he all of a sudden decided that he was going to retire too. It was just, I don't know if that's, you know, the facts are straight there, but we all know about Tim Thomas decided to, you know, just up and leave the Bruins, and now
There was
Tuukka
something
Rask.
else there, but he retired.
It's crazy. Yeah, it was something. I think, what was it? There's a
That was at
pause
the
or a
time.
delay
Just to take a step back, you know, Tim Thomas is a stand-up goalie. He was one of the last stand-up goaltenders. You know, a really fucking good stand-up goaltender. But, you know, the league had shifted. Everything had changed. I think there was something behind the scenes that we don't all know about. I'm certainly not privy to, you know, the conversations with the Bruins behind the scenes.
Yeah, but it just sucks that the Bruins now are, you know, scrambling, and now they're like, fuck, what do we do now? Again. So that sucks.
Yeah, they're kind of the Cornell right now of the NHL, right? They're the team that probably one of the best teams in the NHL when it got postponed. And now you got guys like Chara, what is he, 42, 43?
Just had a birthday,
rumor of Tuukka Rask. He had some family issues, or I don't know what happened, but he took a leave this year. I don't know if you guys know what that leave was for, but definitely something that happened to him that's been wearing on him and not wanting him to spend more family time. So I think that's where it's coming from. That was a question that was asked to him, and he kind of said that, you know, family time might be more important to him at this point. But it's a long, you know, I think his contract's up this summer, so, you know, who knows with that.
The NHL came out with a few, you know, a couple news articles lately, or just, you know, about canceling things, and I think they're jumping the gun. First of all, they canceled the NHL draft, which is, you know, June 26th and 27th, and this year was going to be in Montreal. So they canceled that already, which to me I think is a little too early. But they did cancel the scouting combine in Buffalo, and then the NHL awards in Las Vegas this year. So that's two things that the NHL canceled. Just came out with that.
They're not going to Vegas.
The only thing I'm going to comment on that is this. Look, when you pause major events like that, and there's no certainty that this time is going to be the actual, you know, turn the lights back on or hit go and everybody can proceed, you can't just turn on events like that. It takes planning, and there are ramp ups, and you know.
Yeah, but with you saying that we don't know, then why? On the other hand, why we don't know? So why cancel it?
Do you want me to get into the scientific reason? Because the scientific reason would be.
But anyways,
the math shows that
here we go
down the road here. So.
But the location, timing, and format of the 2020 NHL draft and the draft lottery will be announced with details once they're finalized, the league said. So we don't know about that. But everything else has been canceled. Scouting combine, the NHL awards in Vegas, and the NHL draft in Montreal. So boring summer.
I think you're right. I think it's way premature to do that. However, you know, you look at the NFL. The NFL is not even postponing their draft. I think what could have been done is you just like amend how you're going to do the draft. I mean, let's not like I think what's happening here is like a massive freak out across the board. You know, it's everybody's kind of just like, it's like a snowball rolling downhill, right? It's just like one person says something and it just keeps just compounding. So I don't know. I think it could have easily been a way to do the NHL draft without postponing it. Like,
Yeah.
these
But
kids
the problem is we can't have people in the same close proximity. So
then don't have it.
Virtual draft.
Then don't have that. The NFL is doing all their stuff remote. Like
so virtual draft.
Yeah, do it like we would do like friggin' fantasy draft,
Mock
basically.
draft, fantasy. There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm okay with that. That's a valid solution.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you got to like quit wrecking every young person. Like, people's dreams and lives have been put into making it to the point where they're going to get drafted in the NHL, they're going to get drafted in the NFL, they're going to play in a championship game. Like, at some point, you got to like, there's a fine line here. Like, you got to kind of like not crush everybody's dreams and hope and everything else, and still make this stuff happen somehow. Like, there's ways to do this, and I just think canceling everything is just like a weak way of doing things. But there's opinions on everybody's side, and sure. I think I do though believe, in my opinion, that you can totally tweak the way that this is all being done and still let it happen.
I'm just gonna play devil's advocate. Okay, so Jordan went to the draft in '95. Or what year did he go to the draft?
95. I think you were.
He was born in '97, but
what year did he go to the draft? My point is this: everybody else got to go to the physical draft. They got to experience that event. It is an entire weekend. It's an event that you're never going to forget if you never fucking play a day in the NHL. So now this class gets to do a virtual draft.
Better than nothing, though.
Well, I mean, what's better?
Nothing, but fuck, you're missing everything. You're missing all the entire experience.
It's either that or nothing. I mean, at least you're going to have your name called.
It's difficult to predict, and the time frame and everyth's difficult. I mean, the NHL season's been on pause since March 12th, and the NHL said they're running several different models on ways they can complete the NHL season. They're still talking about that, if possible at all. So it's tough to predict.
I am going to go on record to say I don't think it's going to happen this year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, probably not.
But scientifically, I day as a quote unquote scientist, and I just don't see how this happens. I'm sorry.
On that note, the NHL, they have set up the possibility of holding the 2020 draft in a private session with teams picking from remote locations, something the league hasn't seen since the non-lockout season in the early 1970s. So that's something possible.
It's a way forward. Look, that's hope. I am with it. And I'm all for trying to I want to kickstart this economy just like everybody else. I don't want to be sitting at home. I don't want my kid sitting at home with me all day, every day either. I want him going back to school, but I'm not going to send him back into a place that's not good for him. I'm sorry. And, anybody who thinks it's okay to put yourself back out right now, I think you're foolish. That's my opinion.
I see the Boston Bruins just came out that they're not paying. I think the Hurricanes came out today too that they are, after this week, are not supplementing
50% of the salaries or something like that. I think they're
something like that. So it's hitting everywhere. It's a tough call. I mean, they just signed all these new players that are, their college season ended. Got a little a bump up on that, and it's tough though. But I did see just change tune here that there was another kid from the WHL out in the West Coast Hockey League got exceptional status to put go in the OHL. I mean,
what exactly is that? I'm not sure I understood.
Like a year early.
I saw that.
Connor Better. We're going to try to get him on the podcast here, but to play in the OHL, you got to be 16 years old and 16, I believe, or older. he's 14 and they're letting him play at 15 next year.
Okay.
That's big news. That only comes around every once in a while. And
Special
he's got
players with that, yeah.
some big names that, Connor McDavid, John Tavares. So that's great. That's some good news for the hockey world anyways, too, since this whole pause happened. That, like I said, that comes around every once in a while.
Yeah, Bruins are getting a lot of heat right now. They own $1 billion owner not paying his staff.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are just going to have to go out and collect unemployment like everybody else. That's what's happening right now, especially with like the restaurant industry. All those people are on unemployment. It is what it is, right?
I see the Dallas Stars brass takes 50% pay cut with with the season halted. So everyone's taking
the GM, and the president.
Yeah,
so
just to take some pressure off of everything.
Yeah, they'll give themselves a contingency check to make up for that, though.
Yeah, right. Bonus. It sucks for us.
Golden parachute, just in case.
Yeah. I guess the owner of the Stars is in the hotel and restaurant business, so I guess that was kind of part of it because he's getting crushed right now. So they decided to help out a little bit.
No doubt, and the restaurant business. I mean, Mark, your profits are all paying out to all of the staff. So you guys are really the heart and soul of our economy. Yeah, workers that build shit are great. Those guys got to eat. And our restaurant industry has taken a huge fucking hit.
Yeah, my brother's in the restaurant industry, and they're doing about 15 to 20% of normal business. So everybody's struggling right now, even so they can talk about the people that the stadium's not having paychecks, but there's a lot of people out there right now not having paychecks. So especially in that hourly wage, spectrum of it. So, but the guys, we gotta, plug through this, and we're gonna get down here in the South. I think we're gonna get a stay at home pretty soon. So, we're following the North behind a week. So it's all gonna take a little while, and hopefully this shit plays out. And if there's a chance to play some hockey, that'd be great.
The math goes like this: you're following it a week behind, but the cases that you're getting positive now are 4 weeks back. So today's numbers are 3 weeks behind. So you got to look out 3 weeks ahead and see what those numbers are going to be. And that's where it becomes nobody really knows, right? No. I would love to say Easter is doable. We all want Easter to be doable. I just don't think it's going to happen.
It's tough for us as a hockey podcast. This is our prime season. Like I said it before, breaking out the grills, the sun's coming out, sunglasses, flip-flops, watching NHL playoffs. It's tough for us to even generate content. But we're getting some guests on next few podcasts. So we're continuing with getting guests on to talk about it. I think we're going to get the Clarkson coach, another ECAC coach who did a really great, had a really great season this year, and then Michael Ruzioni, a bunch of other guests. So, we're still putting out podcasts out there for everyone.
Yeah, there's a lot of people looking for stuff to do while they're sitting at home. So check out our podcast. And if you missed one of our earlier podcasts, they're all on our website at bluelinehockey.com. A lot of them on our YouTube channel if you want to watch the videos while you're sitting at home. Nothing on TV to watch, so check out the Blue Line Hockey Club stuff. It's pretty cool stuff. We'll be putting out a video of this podcast too, so that'll be on our YouTube channel as well. Check out our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. And we'll keep plugging away here, and we'll have some good content for you. So, all right, boys, we'll have another good guest next week. And until next time, keep your stick on the ice.
There you go.
Oh, doctor.
Go. Keep your head up.
Stay positive, folks.